Welcome to the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Together we explore the vast landscapes of life, delving into the rich soil of experiences, sowing the seeds of curiosity, and harvesting the profound wisdom that each episode unfolds. Hello and welcome again back to another podcast of Harvesting Wisdom. I'm your host, Mike McMahon, co-host and producer of the show. Dr. Joe Wazel's with me. This is the second in a series of podcasts. We have 3 series right now from San Francisco on a kind of a junket trip we took, kind of a road trip, and we had some fun there. I mean, San Francisco is pretty amazing.
Oh, it's a beautiful city, and honestly, we've talked about this a lot. The mission of urban farming education is to close the gap between information and action. How do you do that? Well, you get off your sofa. You actually go out there and talk to people. And the 2 guests that we had during these podcasts, the places are the story, but sometimes the people are the story too.
Sure.
And we had 2 definite unique people. So we have a nonprofit that really encourages people to learn and to be active. The Harvesting Wisdom podcast is really one of the vehicles for that. Harvesting Wisdom podcast aims to answer the question of why bother. Lots of apathy in climate change. We really want people to understand that they can make a connection no matter what their profession is, what their background is, and they can get engaged in the community. So, yeah, we went to this beautiful city, met 2 incredible people, and they told great stories. So,
right.
I think you had a real connection with the gentleman from Tera Firma Farms. He was a producer for Netflix.
Oh, yeah. Aaron was all over the board guy who's super interesting. And,
met some of your heroes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was pretty advanced in our space, and I don't see that very often. But, he had done a lot of things, left some profitable work at the time, to follow his passion. We only have one life, and he's doing something he really enjoys doing. And boy, what a beautiful little area he's working in. I wouldn't mind working at his office every day. Right?
Oh, it's beautiful out there.
Yeah. So, and then Tony, both of them, by the way, I think Aaron was from California too, wasn't he originally?
Even if he wasn't, they were both quintessential Californians.
California boys, yeah.
They both had leaned into the sustainability stories, loved their areas, loved the resources, seemed to know everybody in the area too. So.
And I think next time we'll stay at that Argonaut. We should have done that right off the bat, but we were trying to get a little closer to the northern end of the area because we were doing a podcast the next morning for Jackson.
But talk about a great location. We stayed downtown, but we walked almost every day.
And we spent most of our time down there and did all the tourist things. We were on the ferry and we were, we went to, was it Somas, old fish, is that what the name? Skoma's fish restaurant, who wants to be on the podcast. We had met them and they'd said yes, but we just didn't have the time this time around. But maybe on this next trip we take, we'll get them. But phenomenal, amazing food.
But that's a good point. We're going to come to towns all across the country. Yeah. And when we do, we're just going to pop in and we really want to share your story. We're highlighting some great stories of sustainability to kind of inspire people. And
we'll have a new format. This format on this one is two podcasts in one. We'll probably do that, or we may do as many as 3, 20-minute segments. And they're all similar, and they're similar in their location. But it's great to see because they did talk about a lot of new California regulations and policies and what they're trying to do in San Francisco. And both of them are, I think, pretty proud of their city and the people. And anyway, without further ado, let's get to this podcast. Hello, and welcome to another podcast of Harvesting Wisdom. We are in San Francisco, and I'm here today with my guest, Tony Rumpf. So you're from a food and beverage background, and tell me a little about the food and beverage system that you have here and why that's such a unique and great experience.
Yeah, I'd love to, and we're really, we have great restaurants outside the building, but we have an amazing one in our hotel. Our chef Amod Singh comes to us with a 2-star Michelin background, so not really doing 2 stars here as much as I'd love to, but we definitely are a little bit more casual, and but it definitely elevated cuisine and something very unique. Our chef is of Indian heritage and brings a lot of spices and what he learned from home into his cooking. So a lot of hotels, and not to knock anybody, but you'll see a lot of frozen boxes from companies like Cisco and just really manufactured and processed foods. That's not what we're doing here. Chef is really making everything from his curries from scratch in-house, our fish and chips. The fish is line-caught cod.
Source quite a bit
all
of fresh fish.
Yeah.
And
all our crab is sourced from here. So we have local purveyors right across the street. I mean, the boats literally go out, fish daily, and bring it back to the dock. So
that's all I could think of when I was going to San Francisco. I'm like, can't wait to get back to the seafood. But it's also the regions around here is all farming. It's one of the breadbasket areas of the United States is just this region, right? And great wines and that kind of thing. And you know, you and I talked. Noble House wants to make sure that they have a nice selection of wines for snobs.
Yes.
You know, I definitely want to taste the stuff from here, but I also, you know, will like wines from other places sometimes, depending on the pairing of the food. So you've got that kind of covered as well, right?
Yeah, no, we definitely have a relatively robust wine list. And Noble House has a really strong food and beverage corporate component too that really works closely with the vendors and is very meticulous about who they're selecting. And sustainability practices definitely playing a part in that. And then kind of going back to your comment about us being in the breadbasket area of California, there's so much produce that's available to us locally, and I think for us, seasonality is also sustainability, because I don't necessarily want to buy fruits and vegetables from another country when I can get something locally and really kind of reduce our impact on that travel that's getting all that produce here.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we're in like a really cool room. Maybe Joe, you'll scan it a little, but you have lots of events here. That's one of the things about a hotel is it's really is community-based, or you know, you have wedding venues here, you have all kinds of things. How does that, who coordinates that? Because you can't coordinate everything, right?
Yes, no, I coordinate very little. I'm very lucky to have a great team, but no, our sales team, in conjunction with food and beverage, does a really good job with our meetings. So the room we're in is 20-foot high ceilings that is hosted amazing and memorable weddings.
Bricks everywhere, windows looking out onto the garden. What an amazing thing for people to come, and they're looking for that one special venue. This is another one.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the most memorable events I've been a part of in this room was we had the APEC conference last November, and we hosted the delegation from Peru, which was very fun to be a part of, to have that many high-level delegates in the room. So
that's great.
We don't make enough veg to go into our to feed our CSA, so we partner with a co-op.
Kind of doing permaculture out there a little bit.
Yeah, holistic management, pretty much permaculture. This is all no-till pumpkins. Over there, he does till, but we take all of the organic waste from the 2 grocery stores and another production facility they have. So each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we pick up 8 to 10 macro bins. So those large, pallet-sized, 3-foot tall bins of organic waste from the groceries.
I have a soil company, so I do all organic soils. So I'm in the big soil, the big dairies, feedlot dairies that are for cattle. I've got one there is like 12,000 head, and then
Yeah, that's very sustainable.
Well, it's, you know what, it's, the thing is our world has been pulled apart. So agriculture is really, it's an industrial science project, right? And it's not, it's failing, but the bottom line is to bring it back, you have to take measures to bring it back.
Sure.
You can't, it's impossible to say, hey, everybody's got to be organic today, because people wouldn't know even how to do it. But so the idea for us is we don't want anything to go to waste, whether it's human waste or anything. Just, it can't be wasted. It's got to be composted and used.
Yeah.
So we do probably 100,000 tons of compost, and then I have a about this is about 400 feet long, maybe, by 100 some odd feet wide, 200 feet wide. I just have a barn that is all worms. So I do worm compost.
So, and what kind of vermicomposting setup do you have? Like, what are it's in a barn, but is it the old, like the big semi-trailer type beds, or
No.
you're doing it in?
We put in windrows, and we do, it's called continuous flows. So one side is dry while one side is wet. And from the rafters, I run my irrigation and I spray. And so I got one side that for 3 months is getting wet, and the other side is drying out. What happens is most of the worms will migrate to the wet side because I'm feeding the new wet side every week, and so that's where the worms want to go.
And then you harvest the dry part.
The dry part, and by the time I do that, I go back to the other.
Interesting. And how are you moving that material through that building?
Oh, so I have an excavator. It's a skid steer on tracks, because I don't have a concrete floor.
Okay.
So it gets pretty wet in there, but it's got a shooter on it. So I fill the bucket with my compost, and I just drive. I can feed the entire barn, just billions of worms. I can feed them in 20 minutes.
Wow.
We just go up and down. Each row is about 360 feet long, and we just
That's significant.
go down, come back.
And
spray.
is that the composting that you're doing when you reference that how many tons, or is that in addition to a thermal composting as well?
Yeah, the thermal composting is outside.
It's the volume.
They have center pivots, and there's like a triangular piece that's wasted in between, and there's water there. So we have a pump. We run a subterranean 6-inch pipe, and then we stub out with a quick coupler, basically every other row, and then I have a John Deere tractor with turners, and I pull 2,000
With like a
feet of
PTO
hose.
turner?
Yeah. So I pull the hose, so I have sprinkler heads in.
Yeah.
So the only way to really compost is with a lot.
Well, we're up against it because we turn with a fucking front end loader, and
It's hard,
there's a person here making it for years, amazing woman, but she kind of kludged the system to work, and she was wetting with a tote on forks. And so I've got a line. We've modified it now to where we put like a little watering boom on the front of the tractor, and we can actually attach the water to that and meter
Come
that.
up with a way like that too. My partner came up with it. He's off the charts, strange, but he comes up with really bizarre ideas that work sometimes.
Yeah.
So we did a trailer hitch on the back of the truck, and we made a boom out of that,
Yeah.
and spraying each side of the windrow, and then he can drag the hose.
Yeah.
And
The truck just pulls the
feed it.
hose.
But we don't use that anymore because we are just using our turner.
Ideally, we would get a turner that could apply water while we
You can buy them used. I just saw them up in the wine country. They got one that they picked up used. They're 35 grand new, the turners.
Yeah.
You got to have a John Deere tractor with a pretty good size.
We're just undersized for a real PTO turner, unless we get that Mighty Mike that they make. There's like a little one, but we're probably
have a
due for an
smaller one.
upgrade. I just need to get like a 100-horse tractor, and then I can buy a turner, and I think it would just change how we would change everything. And
Because you can do it in, technically we compost for a long time, 6 months or whatever, but only because we're not moving the product as fast as we want. But But the deal is
That's the beauty of composting is you can control the pace of it.
Right,
It's like
because
water,
I don't have
carbon,
these-
nitrogen. That's
but,
it.
But if you want to increase it, and that's what we do, we try to compost everything in about a 3-week period, heat-wise.
Right.
So we run the tractor through first about 4 or 5 times
To really mix it.
to break it up.
Yeah.
And then once we can move through it a little quicker, then we'll run through with water.
So your feedstock is manure from
Dairy manure.
CAFO. And
But I do the same thing with chicken. So we
you
do
get chicken manure also.
Yeah, we have a chicken company, one of the big chicken house that does
Yeah.
about 38,000 tons of chicken.
Yeah.
Chicken is really good too. It's just a lot hotter.
It's just way
So
hotter.
really-
So how do you balance? What are your other feedstocks to balance out all the nitrogen?
We've got about over 30 products now that we make that we bring. So I have wood chips from my landscape company.
Got it.
And then I have a grinder that grinds those down.
Yeah,
That's
we
how
do
my
wood
product
chips. We
is.
don't have the fucking grinder.
know,
So
it's
we have to
Well, I
sift
found
after.
one used that was a grinder painter. I've never used the painter attachment, but you can make painted wood chips. But the
Weird.
grinder, nowadays to get those grinders are $250,000.
Yeah, they're really too
But I
expensive.
found this thing for like 65, 70 grand.
Yeah.
And it's got a really fine.
I'm just wondering also if I could just get a cheaper tub grinder and if that would do it. Yeah,
No
it's
matter how you adjust the set.
Thank you for joining the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Click subscribe and like for ongoing insightful conversations. Explore our webpage for show notes and additional resources. Visit our guests' webpage for deeper insights. Your engagement is the foundation of our journey, and until next time, keep pursuing wisdom.